First of the great social revolutions of our time, it began in 1910, overthrowing the old strongman Porfirio Diaz. Many men helped shape the revolution: the well-meaning Madero, who supplanted Diaz, the bandit Pancho Villa, and Zapata, the idealist.
It's time for a change. Peasants will fight. Dictators overthrown, but not overnight. Peasants undaunted, they got what they wanted. Years of revolt to win reforms and rights. It's time for a change. Peasants will fight. A new constitution protecting their rights. Peasants undaunted, they got what they wanted. Victory despite losing so many lives. Today I'm gonna talk about the Mexican Revolution, which started as a fight for dictator abolition. The dictator was Porfirio Diaz, who was to blame for the unjust economic system. By 1910, Diaz, who used force to suppress his challengers, had already served nearly 30 years as president. While wealthy landowners supported him, common Mexicans felt he was the nemesis. Hacienda owners were wealthy with their trees, while peasants were dirt poor to their aching knees. Forced to farm once communal land for cash crops, the middle class was frustrated too, like man stop. But right before the 1910 election, a wealthy landowner, Francisco Madero, stepped in, and then Diaz's haters began to rise, cause Madero was a perfect challenger in their eyes. And during the elections, Madero ran for the next numero uno. His campaign began, and as Madero grew popular, he became a threat to Diaz because he could easily become the next president. So Diaz put Madero in jail and won while he was in a slammer. But once he was released, Madero said that Mexico won't be free without a clamor. Madero's call for revolution united multiple movements who put the differences aside for Mexico's improvement. Revolutionaries like Zapata and Villa, Carranza and Obregón joined forces to face off with Diaz's army. And in May 1911, Diaz lost, and after he was defeated and exiled, Madero became president. But the revolution didn't end there. It didn't end there. It's time for a change. Peasants will fight. Dictators overthrown, but not overnight. Peasants undaunted, they got what they wanted. Years of revolt to win reforms and rights. It's time for a change. Peasants will fight. A new constitution protecting their rights. Peasants undaunted, they got what they wanted. Victory despite losing so many lives. Madero's time as president was minimal. Revolutionaries thought he was too conservative, and wealthier constituents too liberal. And his general, Victoriano Huerta, conspired against him with help from the US. In 1913, Madero was overthrown and Huerta took control next. But the revolutionaries united again to overthrow Huerta. They succeeded but disagreed on what to do in esta vuelta. Carranza named himself president of the land. Villa and Zapata had other plans. Rebellion again began a fan. Conventionistas' focus was redistributing land. Constitutionalistas, which included leaders Carranza and Obregón, prioritized the political system. And these conflicting views sparked a bloody civil war, leaving many victims. The Constitutionalistas won. Carranza became president and passed the Mexican Constitution of 1917, which called for political changes and economic reform. But he failed to live up to the ideals he laid out. So guess how that played out? With more disputes and fighting. By 1920, Carranza's forces had killed Zapata, and Obregón's forces had killed Carranza. And Obregón had become the new president of Mexico. But for many years, many Mexicans were vexed, because it wasn't until 1934 that the reforms laid out in the Constitution finally took effect. It's time for a change. Peasants will fight. Dictators overthrown, but not overnight. Peasants undaunted, they got what they wanted. Years of revolt to win reforms and rights. It's time for a change. Peasants will fight. A new constitution protecting their rights. Peasants undaunted, they got what they wanted. Victory despite losing so many lives.
My name is Hari, and I chose the Mexican Revolution as the topic for my rap because I saw how many times they were fighting, and I decided it's better to choose peace instead of war.